This is Daisy Escalante's vision and dream. I have something to share, an experience that the Lord gave me last night to share. And these things, as I always say, are difficult. And so I will tell you, I can't do anything. I must fulfill what God asks of me. So in the name of the Lord, so I will tell you. In my dream, I saw that the time of probation is ending imperceptibly, and I and my family were running and warning everyone in our way. But sadly, very few people took it seriously. I also saw how we went to many churches. They were Adventist churches. So I was there, and I said, when we arrived, well, it's a Sabbath because we found everybody there, as is always customary in the Sabbath. So I visited one church and another, and I warned them, and when the people there heard, only one or two came out. And when that happened, that these people were coming out, one or two, there was a blackness, and a blackness that flowed from the heads of the others. I saw it. It continued to descend over the faces of the others, and over the temple the blackness fell as well. And then we went out running, and we became very sad because we wanted more people to be outside of this blackness, but I could not get them to take us seriously. So I came out of there and left running, crying and asking the Lord to help us, because the pastor, together with the church leaders, elders, and others, began to persecute us. We were persecuted by them, and I told the people to flee. I asked them to run faster, because I felt that they did not feel anything. They were not shouting at us. Neither did they show any signs that they intended to hurt us, but I felt that if we were caught by them, no good thing would become of us. So quickly we got in a car and started running. In the same manner we visited many churches, and the same things happened every time. It was very sad, because the more we tried to make people understand the time in which we were and what God commanded, none came out. So in my dream, I also saw myself explaining to people. God explained to me the final moves that could be done, and I would tell them that they would have to sell everything they had of value, houses, cars, furniture. They would have to forget all the luxuries, clothes, shoes, accessories. All these were vanity that had to be left behind, and they would have to follow the Lord's instructions, such as I told them regarding the instructions that a few families had to unite, 3 or 4, and buy something, a piece of land, and I also asked them to come out and to start sowing. I told them that time was almost up. I felt desperate when I was telling these things to people, because many people, I explained to them, and then many came out, but others remained. And I told them it was time to empty the homes, that it was time to leave the things of this world that the Lord commanded it, and I asked them to listen. And then many told me, well, I do not have anything. But I told them, well, sell what you have, but they did not want to. They remained glued to their worldly things, to their furniture, their things, and they did not want to come out. And I told them to put them before the Lord, to sell everything and place the money before the Lord with prayer, fasting, and that the Lord would open the way to a safe place. So in a moment, while I stood there talking, at that moment I would say, please, God's true people must come out. Please come out, hurry up, don't look back, do not delay, just do it. And that the moment I said this, I heard a voice shouting over my voice very strongly, "Hurry, hurry, don't look behind, do not delay. I will detain the winds for just a moment until you find a place. Please hurry up." When I heard it, I became very emotional, and I said, "Please listen, do what he says. Obey what the Lord tells you." But many were laughing. They closed the doors and stayed where they were. And in my dream I saw how all who came out of those churches were running with me. And it was like a slope of a mountain. And we started to climb. And there were small cabins on that mountain in different places. They were not all at one place, they were in different places. But these cottages were very modest. They were only made for sleeping, and the rest was done outside. So many of us that were in this group looked with amazement, seeing the simplicity of the place. But I encouraged them, telling them that to be satisfied and happy, that God opened the way and they were able to get out. And then something prompted me to look inside the small cabins, and inside the cabins there were some things like sleeping sofas and beds, something very simple, some bottles of water and some food, and a few other small things, a pot, cup, plate, tableware well placed in a corner. And there were 3 books, and when I got close, I saw that there were a Bible, a book of Adventist hymns, and Spirit of Prophecy. And I said, see how the Lord wants us to depend only upon Him. Look at what got us here. Then they looked amazed, saying, "Is there nothing else?" Well, I told them, no, there is nothing else. But everything is simple, everything is orderly, everything is clean. The Lord has prepared a table in the wilderness. And then I saw the outside of the cabins that was a large field, and there was a spring nearby, and then we began to sow seeds. And I saw that we were sowing a garden, and there we sowed green leaves. Also there were bulbs, roots, grains, fruits, that these what we were sowing at that time in that place. And every day we would go in the garden with confidence that we would find something to eat, because we had to go to get that day's share of food. And when we went to the garden with confidence, we would find food there. So there we were cheerful and happy, when suddenly something told me, "Come down from the mountain." And when I went down hill in a hurry, the voice told me while I hurried down the road, "Go and search for others." And I saw how I found myself running, going to find others. Then I saw that I entered a house, and when I entered that house, I saw a lady. The lady brought me food, and I told, "Eat," and she gave to others that were in the house. But the others took the food and began to eat quietly. But I told them, "No, I cannot stay to eat. Listen, I am telling you, we have to go. But the lady of the house calmed them down, asked them to take it easy, to eat and not rush. But I was desperate, because I knew on the inside that something was wrong, and they had to rush. Then at that moment I almost was shouting at them and asked them to get out. "Get out, get out, get out," I told them, but they wouldn't listen. Then in a moment, while I was there, my eyes were opened as if my mind opened. I realized that I knew the person standing there. And I actually do know them, and it is very sad for me. Because when you meet someone, you get emotionally attached. And as they are brothers, it is even sadder. And when I saw it, the voice told me, "Go." The apron was thrown on them. So I came out crying. I was out of breath. I couldn't believe it. They were brothers that I knew from here in Puerto Rico and Massachusetts, where I was privileged to find myself in those churches. And the voice told me, "Go home, go home." Then I started running, and I started to cry on the way from house to house, "Get out, get out, get out." The storm is close. Please get out." Then many came out, and I saw them. They had earrings, tattoos, bracelets, and necklaces, and I said, "Lord, they are not Adventists. Who are they?" "These are those from the 11th hour. Continue to talk to them." Then, when he told me so, I asked God, "What about the Adventists?" And he told me, "Their time has already passed." At that time, I fainted and fell to the ground. There was a lot of pain. When I heard these words, and then a very beautiful person, picked me up. And he told me, "My daughter, flee, save yourself." And I went on the road raising my voice. So I started to run among the many that were running in the same direction, and I ran so fast that I passed by them, until I couldn't see anyone running beside me. And then I started going from house to house, and wherever I entered, I warned them, and they united with the group that was fleeing in a hurry. Then after that, I went up the mountain, and I thought, "Lord, where will so many people go?" But his voice reassured me and told me that everything is arranged, not to worry. Up on the mountain I saw many small cottages, but they were very round, and for some reason, I do not know which, but for some reason each of those who went with me knew which of those were provided for them. And the Adventist brothers that were already in that place, who were there before, followed them into their cottages, destined for them, and were glad to welcome them all and tell them where they would stay. Then, when everyone got there, they all began to cry with gratitude. And they told us, "Thank you, because we were in comfort. Nobody told us anything. And we now find ourselves here protected by storm. Thank you, thank you, thank you for telling us." And we were all happy, and we hugged, prayed, and thanked God for the occasion. So I sat there, and evening came, when from the mountain I could see the flat plains. It was getting dark. And then, when it was completely dark, I heard a thunder in the sky. And I looked, and when I looked, I saw great fireballs coming, and my heart was scared, because in the thunder from which these fireballs descended, I felt that all my being trembled. The mountains trembled. And I saw that many people were on different mountains close to us, because when the fireballs were coming down, their light shone when passing over mountains. And I could tell that our group was not the only group that was there, but there were other groups on the other mountains. But those balls began to hit the plains, and strong cries from the people could be heard for a few seconds. Then they would stop. So I knew that for a specific reason, I do not know how, but for some reason I knew that the plagues already started. Then I told them, "Please let us kneel, let us implore God to protect us," and we started to do it. While balls of fire fell, and as we stood there, the panorama changed, and I was taken to a higher place. I found myself above the clouds, and I could see that down there were many calamities of high magnitude, and it was impossible for me to look at them without being terrified, and my companion told me, "Look again." When he told me so, when I looked, my vision was changed as if I had binoculars with autofocus to see better, and they focused on people suffering. The scene I saw was horrible. It was horrible. I saw their people. Adventist pastors, brothers, I saw very friendly people there that were very close to me. I saw relatives. I saw some of the greatest leaders there. All were suffering due to this great storm. I told him, please do not show me anything. But my companion said to me, it is necessary. It is necessary. Then, while I was there looking at all those things on which I could no longer bear to fix my eyes, the view changed. Then I entered Adventist churches where I saw how leaders and pastors officiated. Then they were there begging that God would deliver them from that evil, but deliverance would not come. Then members shouted, you always told us what to do and we always listened. And look at what is happening to us. Cry out to God to deliver us. But deliverance did not come. Then leaving that place, I was taken to a large room, and all were there crying because of illnesses. Everyone complained, murmured, and I saw someone who was in a chair at a desk, and he was filming something, and shared many sheets, and these sheets were spread to many places. Then I saw these sheets and heard something. A strong voice shouted, death. So I felt faint, and I fell on my knees again, and my companion stood me up and said, let's go. So I was taken to the mountain to the others, and we started begging day and night, day and night. But something wonderful was happening. My companion would not leave, and he told me, relax, do not despair, observe. It was terrible because in that moment my eyes seemed to open, and I saw angels that surrounded the mountains where God's children were. That display was wonderful. I saw them holding hands and making a circle around the mountains. From that moment I was sure that nothing could pass that barricade, that nothing could pierce it. After that I was lowered on the mountain. I told others what I had seen, and they were praising the Lord and giving him glory because they were filled with praise when they said, we felt in real danger, but now it has passed. The Lord protects us. He sent his angels to stay here with us. So it was late evening. It was getting dark. And when it began to darken, angels appeared, one at each cottage, and led us deeper into the mountain, in the most unknown parts of the mountain. And they started to shelter us in places that were intended for us to stay in. But I asked my companion something. Is this the place where our bread and water be sure are provided? And he told me, yes, it would be only here at the end of the harvest. And I said, that's not what they told us. We were told not to prepare for anything because everything would be provided. Then he told me, no, only here it will be provided. Then I said, I would like to ask you why when we sowed did the plants and fruits grow so fast there at the cottages? Then he said to me, come and look. And I was taken at the sowing place, and I saw brothers sowing, and I saw something wonderful. Something gave me great hope in the Lord.
Is Anderson sleeping?
I saw angels that were coming with drops of water from heaven, and they placed them over each plant or tree, and they were growing fast, fast. Then I asked him, what are these drops? And he told me, come and see. And then I saw how from the river of life there in heaven, quick and prepared angels gathered the droplets and brought them to the earth and watered the harvest. I wept for joy, my brothers. I was so happy and content. Then I was taken in the most hidden places of the mountains, right after I was shown this. Already it could be heard from the mountain that there was a lot of noise in the plain, and screaming and shouting everywhere, and I could hear them. But those of us who were there felt safe. I felt that nothing could happen to us, but we were suffering for those who were in the plain. Those screams tormented us. It was very difficult to listen to what was coming from the plain. But then I looked to the sky. I do not know why, something caught my attention, and I saw the number 7. It was a giant 7 in the sky. And I asked him, "What is this?" My companion said, "This is the 7th plague." Then as soon as he finished speaking, there was a thunder. Everything began to falter. The sea roared, waves swept the mountains, and the earth creaked like a door with old hinges. And everything was ravaged. I felt that everything will come upon us, and I asked my companion, "Is it true that it's Jesus? Is Jesus coming?" And he said, "Yes, the time has come." My companion moved away from me, telling me, "I have to go. You have to go as well." Then I said, "How? Where are you going?" And he said, "I go to take my place in the angelic host, but I will see you again very soon." And then I asked him, "And where should I go?" And he looked at me smiling and said to me, "In the world. You will go in the world. And tell them that we are already preparing, because the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, returns to receive his own, to weigh in the scales the heavenly things against the earthly things. And tell them to fight that no one." And said this, and he went to heaven. Everything stopped. I couldn't see anything. But I heard a voice that said to me, "Run, go, run, tell them to prepare." I opened the doors for them that no one can close, to be able to get ready, not to spend things foolishly, to hurry up just to get ready for this moment, because there is no time to lose. Many will not listen to you. But tell them, because the wise shall understand, and all that are written in the book of life will be able to understand. Here, brethren, I woke up with the urgency to share this with each of you. As I always tell you, my brothers, I am nobody. I am the first who must prepare to meet the Lord. My name is Daisy Escalante.